Right, let's take a look at our site suitability criteria worksheet. I put this together so it is a little bit easier for you to get to the point and feel confident that you've done your math for your site suitability, weighted site suitability analysis. So you'll have access to this. You should be able to file and download it or save it as import it into your drive or save it onto your Google Drive, and that all of the formula calculations should transfer. But I have instructions here, and I'm just going to follow through on those. The first thing you do is you'll head over to your criteria and ranking sheet. In the example in class, I was looking at the site suitability for a hiking trail for part of the least cost path analysis, so I will keep that pretty straightforward and connected to that. So we decided that the criteria I want to use are land cover, so you'll just replace the criteria name. I'm also using land ownership, looking for publicly owned lands. Also looking at the presence of trails and the slope in degrees as a way to identify a good walking path or hiking path across the county. And then what you do is you head over to your data sets and you start to assess each of the attribute or the categorical attributes or the numerical attributes. So for my first land cover data set, this is coming from the Multi-Resolution Land Characteristics Consortium, and it's also called the National Land Cover Database, and they have a detailed legend of what each of their characters, each of the land cover types across the U.S. are. There are not every land cover type in San Diego County, but I looked through this and determined which land covers I deemed would be worth walking across or I wanted to avoid. So preferential or something I wanted to avoid. I definitely wanted to exclude any open water. I don't know where it is in here. Open water. Oh, I have it up here. Definitely wanted to exclude any open water. My most preferred were, you can see some of the forest land use types. Let me get rid of vegetation. Something a little bit more, more nature-y than a busy street. I also added in to medium preference barren land because a lot of the, some of the desert areas were classed as barren land. I also identified areas I was not really interested in walking through. Again, you'll see wetlands in here, just like open water. I don't want to go for a swim. I don't want to get my boots wet. I just want to walk on dry land. And then low preference, a lot of the developed spaces, or some of the developed spaces and the cultivated crops, because I figured that would be agricultural land that I wasn't allowed to be on. I then went through and ranked this same thing. Looked at the categories for all of my other criteria and started adding those into this sheet. So this is what you should do. And one thing we talked about last night was this is a bit subjective. Also, the benefit of using a model and the benefit of using a sheet like this is that you can go back and easily edit and change things as you are starting to work through your criteria and rating within each class. So I'm going to add in all my other classes really quick. Okay, so you can see the rest of how I classified my categories of each criteria. So for trails, I really wanted to be on a public trail, but if I couldn't be on a public trail to cross the county, the other land uses, or the other areas of the rest were totally fine. Any of the not trail areas. Same thing with slope. So this took some time to think through how I wanted to, or which, land cover types, public land ownership, things like that, which land uses were most preferred. And this is what you'll do for your site suitability analysis, decide which one is most preferred. And after we do this, we are going to look at rating or ranking between our classes. So now we're just trying to decide which is most important to me. Is it public land ownership? Is it land cover? Is it trails, or is it slopes? The land. I ended up picking land cover as the most important, ranking public ownership and slope together at that 2 value. And then trails, I gave it the lowest importance or preference or suitability if you're looking at that, or hazard. So now that we've done that, you'll see in the instructions, you'll figure everything out, you'll rank them, your criteria, and then we go over to our last sheet, our calculating weight sheet. Now this is set up that it should automatically populate with your criteria names, the rank you assign them, and then calculate out the percent weight of that category or that criteria, and the multiplier. This is the number that you're using in your raster calculator analysis. So when you are using raster calculator to weight your land use, or to rate your criteria, you'll be using this value, and you'll get some experience with that this week in the the least cost path analysis. So how does this work? We're seeing here, to get to the percent weight, we first have to sum all of the criteria, all of the ranking. So we're just adding 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2 equals 8. Then to get that percent weight, this is the formula. It's 100 divided by your rank. 100 divided by the assigned rank times the rank. So you'll see, it's not that. It's 100 divided by the sum of all the ranks divided by the rank for that class. So it's 100 divided by this cell, B7, and then that value is multiplied by B2, which is 3, to get to 37.5, and then we multiply it by 100 to get that fraction that we'll use for our raster calculator. So the idea behind this is you don't have to, hopefully you're not doing that much work, and this simplifies the analysis for you. So once I clear everything out, you'll see that there's nothing over here, although, oh, I didn't delete these. So you should have access to this, and once you start adding in your own values, you'll start to see this sheet populated. So I hope the intention here was to make this easier for you for your site suitability analysis. If it doesn't, you don't have to use it. If you have any questions, let me know.